Not everyone can make a good prequel. Most of the times, they feel like watered down versions of the original. In 2007, Square Enix dropped the original Crisis Core on the PSP, wanting to explore the minor but important character Zack Fair, while also diving deeper into the soldier program within the Shinra Corporation. Crisis Core Reunion serves as a remake to the PSP classic, while adding new graphics and refined gameplay, but keeping the story as it was before. Reunion serves as a prequel to both the original Final Fantasy VII and the remake. But is it worth getting into? As the war between Shinra and Wutai is in full effect, Zack is not only tasked with dealing with this war, but also finding out what happened to Genesis, a member soldier that went missing in action some time ago. Trying to figure out what's going on, Zack learns of Shinra's dirty secrets of human experiments, along with the mass amount of planet pollution that Shinra has been contributing to. The game hits heavy on what makes someone human versus a monster. Members of Soldier are infused with Mako energy, but what does that even make them exactly? The ones who successfully go through this process gain superhuman powers. However, far more turn into disturbing monsters that can't survive for long. Although this game paints certain characters as villains, by the end you will grow to understand it's more complex than the surface. This is a classic tale of how scientific ambitions can cause harm to others and our planet. The story works so well due to the protagonist Zack. He starts off as an eager young man with a dream to become a hero, but his world is sent upside down after learning the truth about the company that he keeps. It's pretty rare for a game this short to have a complete story that shows the development process of a man. Zack goes from being a starry-eyed, inspired young man to a well-rounded adult, but he still keeps some of that innocence that he once had before. Many characters are written to be one note, remaining the upbeat type that everyone loves or the emo kind that everyone seems to hate. Zack, to me, actually develops into a believable character. His attitude throughout, I felt, reflects a realistic way of maturing in a healthy manner, which is probably why Zack is my favorite character in the Final Fantasy VII universe. Of course, with this being a prequel, you will run into familiar faces. Learning about the days of the original cast before the events of Final Fantasy VII, this too was handled well as these meetups felt genuine, not used for nostalgia bait, even the goofier ones. It won't take you long to play through this great story. The main plot only takes about 14 hours, which is the perfect length for a story like this. It was straight to the point, no filler, but if you want more out of your time, there's always the gameplay. Crisis Core is an action RPG. If you're familiar with the Kingdom Hearts combat system, it's clear that Crisis Core takes from this, attacking with one button while cycling through items and spells. In Reunion, we thankfully have more buttons than we did on the PSP, so now spells are attached to buttons instead of a menu. Everything that you would expect from an action RPG is here. Attacking, dodging, and blocking. Also some magic and summons. That's Crisis Core's gameplay in a nutshell, but the unique side of Crisis Core is the DWM system. To put it simply, it's a slot machine that plays out in the background while you fight. The DWM determines whether you level up, get a buff, or a summon. This may seem off-putting as you probably be thinking that many things will be left to random chance. But Crisis Core has another mechanic that the player has full control over. That's materia fusion. Materia are items that gives you spells, action abilities, buffs, and utilities. Simply equipping a materia will benefit you, but the real power is in adding bonus stats to each materia through fusion. This system is the bread and butter of Crisis Core. It's not complicated for beginners to understand either. It has just enough complexity that someone that's looking to tinker with a lot of things can, so both people that want something complex and someone that doesn't want to be bothered with too much complicated math can both get enjoyment. In fact, you don't even have to use the materia fusion system if you don't want to, just to beat the main story. This system is so much fun and addictive that I wish it was added to more games in the future. As you level up the materia through combat, you also get to take it and turn it into more powerful materia, and that just never gets old. If you happen to be one of those people that don't want to discover materia fusion for yourself, you can always just go online and find the most powerful combinations. But I suggest that you actually just play around with this system on your own terms, because one of the best parts of this game is discovering which materia do what and how to fuse them together. Now you might be wondering, how does the leveling system work if it's random? See, the thing is, you do earn XP, it's just hidden in the background. And what happens is, as you build up enough XP, the system will automatically trigger a level up. This can work in your benefit, as if you build up so much extra XP, sometimes you'll level up back to back to back. This may sound weird, as you know, for most RPGs, when you level up, you actually get a stat increase. But thankfully, through the fusion system, you will not be weak, as you can add bonuses to all your stats through each material you equip. An example would be to have a bonus 100% HP added to a material you have equipped. So instead of worrying about leveling up, if you just use material fusion and add the stat increases that you need, you can actually make yourself extremely overpowered very early in the game. And thankfully, due to this game having plenty of side missions, even if you do make yourself OP, you will be able to test this new build out on some overpowered bosses. In fact, some of these bosses are so strong, you have to make a very powerful build to just win the fight. This level of freedom is great, as like I said, if you don't care to do any of this stuff and just want to beat the main story, you don't have to bother with it. Or let's say you want to experiment with it just a little bit so you can make the main story easy for you. You could do that too. But if you want to be overpowered and have somebody to fight, you always have the side missions. Now the side missions, they are basically just kill all the enemies on screen. Yeah, it may not sound like the most interesting thing, but it's pretty fun to just fight enemies over and over thanks to all the great combat. Doing side missions unlock new material shops, and also bonus items that are pretty rare to find. All these items feed into your build, making you overall more powerful. Now, one thing I gotta warn you about the side missions is that plenty of them are missable. So I suggest you either look at a guide so you make sure you don't miss any of them, or if you do notice that a side quest chain has stopped, sometimes you have to beat a whole different side quest to get that chain rolling again. There are over 100 side quests and they're pretty short. Now you gotta remember, the reason why these side quests are designed this way to be this simple is because this originally was a PSP game, like I said. So the original idea was them to be short burst missions that you can easily play on the go. They have not changed at all in this remake. So you might be saying, well, what's the benefit of them being this short at home? Well, for me, I think that this still works as a home experience because I like to enjoy doing two things at once. If you're a person that's playing a game that you're enjoying the gameplay in, but you know that there's nothing you need to really focus on, you might do something that I do, which is turn on your favorite podcast or even listen to music. While playing through the side quests, that's exactly what I did, and I had a great time doing it. And although I played this game on the PS5, because this game originally was designed for a portable system, maybe buying the Switch version will actually be beneficial, as technically you can play it either portably or on the TV. Despite the side quests being repetitive, I never was bored and I had a great time playing them, thanks to the great gameplay and the addictive material fusion system. Now obviously, Reunion has a graphical overhaul from the PSP release. They basically took the Final Fantasy VII Remake's textures and plastered it all over the original game. I do miss the original game's art style, as it kind of reminded me of that kind of soft Kingdom Hearts look, but the new realistic graphics do look nice. The only thing graphically that's kind of off are the pre-rendered cutscenes. These cutscenes are from the original PSP release, and it seemed like all they did was blow them up for the big screen. Now these cutscenes still look good technically, but because they are the PSP images, they look like they're like low resolution or something. Only a few of them look so bad that I was just like, yeah, they should have probably like touched this up a bit, but most of them you'll notice it, but it's not a deal breaker. One thing that Reunion did remind me of is how the game design was back in the day. Sure, today we have all these nice graphics and they put all this stuff on the screen so everything looks cluttered. But because this was a PSP game, everything has kind of a clean look. There's no unnecessary debris in the way. There's nothing to confuse you. It's just a nice, simple look to it. So if you're looking for the level of detail that Final Fantasy VII Remake provided or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's not going to be here. But I think there's some type of appreciation you can find in this simplistic look. Crisis Core is an excellent RPG when it first released, and it remains so today. Reunion is a faithful remake that didn't need to change much because the original game was damn near perfect. Many people ask, should they play Crisis Core before the remake? I suggest that you do, as it does serve as a prequel to the remake. Understanding who Zack is and his story will teach you about Cloud and his story. Now, if you've already played the remake and Rebirth, you should still come back and play Crisis Core if you haven't. as those games do not have the same gameplay as Crisis Core, and I'm telling you, if anything about this game is great, it's its gameplay. I myself am currently playing through Final Fantasy VII Remake for the first time, and although I do love both systems, I kind of prefer Crisis Cores. It's just something about that DWM system and the materia fusion that just put the game to a whole nother level. Maybe I just like feeling OP all the time, I don't know. I had a great time playing through Crisis Core once again. Don't let the notion that prequels are not necessary. For both the story and gameplay, Crisis Core is definitely an amazing game.
Boy, oh boy. The price of freedom is steep. Embrace your dreams. And, whatever happens, protect your honor. As soldier!